Hi there, welcome to Cornbread Wisdom. We've been trying to make the most of the space that we have here in our garage. Last year we converted our garage, it used to be an unfinished garage, and we've got it so we have a nice laundry area, we have a tool area, I've got my desk out here with my computer and all of that. But we're trying to make the best of the space that we have because we've got a lot of things that we want to keep still. So shelves and hooks are your best friend. My wife painted this. Veronica painted this shelf here. She had the idea, she had the vision, drew it all out, and that's a good thing too. When you're going to do this sort of thing, or you're going to do some kind of garage conversion, even if it's something simple like putting up shelves, draw it out first. You don't have to have fantastic drawing skills. Just get it down on paper. You know, write the vision, make it plain, get it down. So her vision was to have a couple of shelves. We decided to actually just use one shelf here. We're going to use the other shelf somewhere else in the house. But I've got this travel bag that I use all the time, and it's always being shoved back and forth from pillar to post, and we never know exactly, where to put it. Now it's got a spot, thanks to Veronica coming up with the idea of getting this hook. And so now I'm going to install another hook over here to hang up another bag for travel. When you're hanging up any kind of hook like this, they come with drywall anchors, but if at all possible, always try to find a stud that you can put it in. Now we put this shelf up here in such a position, we originally were going to have it maybe a little bit that way or a little bit this way, but we chose this spot because this is exactly where the studs are, where these two supports, these brackets are. That makes it nice and solid because you're screwing this into wood rather than into sheetrock here. You can do it into sheetrock with the drywall anchors, but it's never going to be as strong and never going to be as stable as if you put it directly into the studs. Now in between these two, there is a stud here, and that's what's going up and holding up the beam that's supporting the roof. So it's a nice big wide stud, so we were able to put a very nice big wide hook here on the wall, and that's not going anywhere. I could probably hang on this, it's not going anywhere. So now I've found the spot where there's a stud over here, and I'm going to hang up one more hook. So this is the bag in question that we want to hang up on the wall opposite this. Now originally I thought, well, I'll take this hook, hook it on here. I'll just put the hook same height as the other hook here, where the stud is. But what I didn't realize is that this hangs a whole lot lower than the other ones. That's going to get in the way of the other stuff that we have here stored in this corner. So I'm going to have to put it up high enough to clear the area, so I can clear this and all the other stuff that we have underneath, but not so high that it gets caught on the tracks here for the garage door opener. So the next thing, find the stud. Alright, so I've got out my stud finder. It works by just holding up against the wall. It's battery powered. Push the button on the side, and as I drag it across, you'll see a little red light go up. When it goes up to the top, that's when you know that you're on the stud. And I go this way and I come off the stud there. So that's where the stud is, right in this spot. Now what I've done is I've made two marks here. You probably can't see them, but I've made two marks. I'm trying to find not just the middle of the stud, because this hook doesn't have a screw in the middle. It has one on each side. So what I've got to do is I've got to find the edges of the stud and then come in a little ways so I don't get the screw right into the side of the stud and I splinter the wood and it doesn't hold. So what I do is I just slide it across here, find, okay, where's the spot where it actually hits the top? There it is, right there. So that's the edge on that side. I come across over here and I find where does it drop off again? Right there. So that's the edge on that side. So I'm going to come in a little bit on each side. And sure enough, I made two marks where I just kind of eyeballed it, and that matches exactly the distance between these two holes. So I got lucky. We call that a happy accident. So now I got to figure out how high do I want this. So I think right about here is a good spot. So I'll take my pencil and just make a little mark, not a permanent one. I'll use the stud finder again. Just make sure that I've got the edges of the stud I'm just making light pencil marks. I'm going to go back and erase them afterwards. So that gives me edges of my stud, and then I will center this in between. Right there. Now I can make more permanent marks. Next thing is to drill it. I don't want to just put the screws in because I'm going into wood, and the screws that they give you with these kits for these hooks and things like that, they're adequate, but they're not so strong that if you try to screw them into hard wood, they might actually snap. So the idea is to drill a pilot hole so that the screw isn't trying to squish away all the wood from the sides of it as it drives into the wood there. So we drill a pilot hole first. Okay, here's another little Cornbread Wisdom tip for you. Sometimes when you go to screw something in, or you go to drill with it, this has got a lot of power, a lot of torque, and you don't want it to go dancing across your surface here as it tries to make that initial entrance into the wall with the drill bit. So it's a good idea to actually make a little indentation where you're going to start. And that's what I've done up here. If you can take a look. These are our two spots where we're going to put the screws in. And all I did for this first one is I just took this and just kind of pressed it right there into that spot. I'm going to do it again over here. Just stick it right in the middle of the mark that I made. And just press it with my hand. Just enough, maybe turn the thing a little bit back and forth, just to make an indentation. And the reason we do that, again, is so that I've got a spot to rest this drill bit against, so it doesn't go sliding around on this. So right now it's already right there. It's not going to slide. In fact, I can wiggle this around, but it's sitting right into that indentation. Now, this will be the fun part because my drill, as you can see, it's actually bumping into this, but I think we're going to be okay. So I'll start it slowly because I'm going through the sheetrock part right now, and that gets me through just enough that I can hold it up straight and get into the wood. Now, there we go. Now let's say you make a miscalculation. Stud finders, this one's a great one. Stud finders are good, but they're not 100% accurate, and it might be reading wood or something solid behind here when there isn't actually, because it's further back and it's being thrown off. And that's exactly what happened here. This hole right here, I'm straight into the stud. And you can tell because it's hard to drill into, and you get pieces of wood sawdust coming out when you're drilling it. This one, nope, I'm just straight into the sheetrock here. So what do? This is when I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use one of the drywall anchors that came with this. It's a little piece of plastic. What happens is, as the screw goes into it, this is going to open up and spread out and anchor itself into this. Now I'm not worried about this because I've got one of these screws that's going to go directly into the stud. So that's going to hold the weight perfectly for this bag here. It's not that heavy a bag. Now, it's certainly not as heavy as the other bag. So the hole that I drilled is just big enough that I can actually just kind of push that in with my finger, and it pushes away the drywall as you're doing it. So it's in there nice and tight. So now I can put the hook up. And rather than doing it with the power drill, I like to do it by hand with the hand drill. It's not that hard once you've drilled the pilot hole to get this in there. It's not that bad. You can use the power drill. I just don't want to strip the screw or anything like that. So I'm going to do it very carefully and methodically and slowly this way. So I'll start it by hand. And get the other screw in there too. So one's going into the drywall anchor, one's going through the drywall and into the wood. Now this one I can screw in by hand pretty quickly and easily because it goes deep enough. It goes right through the drywall, and now I've hit the wood. So now I have to use the screwdriver. But let's start on this side and get it caught up.
So now, and as I'm turning this now, it's working its way through that plastic drywall anchor. The drywall anchor is pressing up against the drywall. It's spreading out. It's filling the space. And that's what's going to hold it in place there on this side. I'm not going to tighten it up all the way yet on that side. Get this side tightened up now. And this one, this is going to be a little harder to turn because it's going to start going through the wood. There we go. Get a little harder to turn now. Now I want to tighten it just enough to press this against the wall. I don't want to put a big dent in the wall with the hook here. So now my hook's up. My bag is up, and my wife, Veronica, is happy. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Blessings to you.